Disclaimer. The information in this video is for entertainment purposes. All opinions are just that, my opinions, and should not be taken as fact. I encourage you to do your own research. I am not medically trained, and nor am I offering medical advice. Any education, tips, tricks, and advice is for entertainment purposes only, and you should do your own research.
Hello, and welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I explained mine and the boys' experience flying from London Luton Airport using the Special Assistance service. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. In today's video, I'll be telling you about my experience flying through Tenerifesouth Airport and arriving back at London Luton Airport using special assistance on both sides. We had a glorious week in Tenerife, and I hope you don't mind me sharing some of my photos. Lifelong memories were made, and that was the purpose. Both boys behaved impeccably, and I'm so proud of them. When I spoke with Tui about booking special assistance, I was pleasantly surprised when they informed me that special assistance is also available at Tenerifesouth Airport, which I again was incredibly grateful for. Tui had told me to go to the special assistance desk at the airport and let them know that I needed assistance. When we arrived, I saw the familiar yellow signs of the special assistance desk. I had already had my cane out and was using it as I walked up to the desk where a Spanish lady greeted me. I explained that we needed assistance. She looked at me and the boys and our luggage and told me to check in our bags at gate 28. Off we went to gate 28, which was the special assistance gate. After our bags were checked in, we stood waiting for the gentleman to give us instructions. He just looked at me, so I asked where we had to go now, and he told me to go to security and pointed to his left. We walked back the way we came, and as we approached the special assistance desk, I walked up and told her that I still required assistance and showed the woman mine and my youngest son's cards. She looked at them, then my cane, and said, "Well, why didn't you say before?" And that confused me, as I did say before that we needed assistance. This video will probably be a lot longer than my usual ones because there was nothing but drama from here onwards. A young lady then walked us up to the airport to a group of people and explained that they would take us through security. One of the women wrote something on a piece of paper which looked like a receipt and taped it to my cane. We followed her to security and put our things in the trays. I was told to fold my cane, which was difficult as the lady had stuck a piece of paper to it. While we were standing waiting to go through the body scanner, I watched the people around me who were not shy in showing their annoyance at not only the boys and me, but also an elderly lady with a man in a wheelchair skipping the queue. I know I'm going to say it again, rolling eyes, etc., but I will keep saying it if it happens to show just how often it happens. One person who made the biggest scene was a pregnant woman, her partner and a toddler. She got so annoyed that we hadn't queued, and whilst I'm considerate she was probably hormonal from pregnancy, I cannot accept her making comments towards the special assistance lady while gesturing at the gentleman in the wheelchair and myself holding a cane, stating how it wasn't fair we got to skip the queue as she barged through us to get her trays for her things. Ironically, due to the length of time it took the couple to sort their trays, that family passed through ahead of us. There was no need to be shouting at all. We then went through the scanner. Both boys turned the scanner red and were scanned with a handheld scanner. Then I went through and it started beeping. I wasn't worried or scared as I knew I had nothing I shouldn't have on either my person or in any of my bags or luggage. As the scanner beeped, a tall guard rushed over to me and barked at me that I'd been selected for a random search and instructed me to get my things and follow him. I looked over and saw the conveyor belt had stopped. An elderly English lady was having her bag searched and my items were still inside the scanner. He repeated his command that I get our bags. I pointed and explained that they were in there. He told me to bring them over to a desk when they came out and then stood there staring at me. Whilst I knew I was innocent of any airport crime that they may suspect me of, I was still nerve-wracking having a man sternly staring at me. I looked over to the lady and the guard searching her bag. He was holding a carrier bag asking the owner where her ticket was. She was confused as to what he meant by ticket. I did consider jumping in and explaining he meant receipt, as it became apparent this was an item she bought in the airport, and the bag was sealed, which she pointed out to the guard. However, I decided against it when I looked over at my guard, who was staring intently at me. She eventually realised and told him that she didn't know where it was, but she'd bought it at the airport. Another guy, I don't know if he was senior security or police, but he had a gun on his hip. He came over and the two whispered in Spanish to each other, but their body language gave away the conversation. The senior guy asked what was going on, then the other guy explained. The senior guy looked at the item and then the woman. The other guy then asked if he wanted to do anything. The senior guy gave half a head shake, and the other guy turned to the lady, who by this point was starting to worry herself. He told her in a half-joking way that today was her lucky day and that she'd be okay this time, but next time to keep her ticket, and she was lucky that the senior guy was letting her go through. Whilst I could tell he was giving advice and making light of the situation, the lady didn't, and she started to worry. But they waved her on, and the senior guy went back over to the wall where he'd previously been stood. Now it was my turn. As the scanner started working again, my guard jumped forward and asked me where my things were. I pointed to the scanner. He grabbed a tray and asked, "This one?" I told him no, and when mine came through, I pointed them out. He chose 2 of the 4 trays, one with our electronics and the other with our bags. He told me to put my hands out and swabbed them. He then asked to swab my pants. If you stick with my channel and videos, you will soon realise that I unintentionally embarrass myself regularly. The facepalm emoji is used regularly in text with my friends. He asked to swab my pants, which I thought was odd, but seeing as he's got backup behind him with a gun, I thought, okay. So I went to the top of my leggings and started to pull them down, but only slightly. Suddenly, the guard starts loudly saying, "No, no, no, this," and pointed to the waistband in his trousers. Oops. He swabbed my waistband and then he swabbed my eldest son's backpack and put the swab into a machine. He asked if he could look inside, and I nodded, adding that I didn't have anything to hide. He looked inside, then the machine beeped. He looked over and then said, "Thank you," and directed us to move on. I found the lady assisting us, who waited so patiently for this at least 5-minute interaction. I went to open my cane, but found the elastic tangled with the paper. As I tried to gently untangle it, the paper ripped. The lady saw it and exclaimed, "Dios mío," a few times. I apologised and explained it was the elastic that had torn it. She rewrote the information on a new paper and stuck it to my cane with instructions to be careful. She then told us to wait in the waiting room until 7 p.m. and then head to A5. We did that and had to wait in a queue to have our passports and tickets checked. It took a good 20 minutes and oh boy was it stressful. My youngest son was very hyper and was shouting, running away from the queue, sitting and laying on the floor. It was a lot. I did see other passengers being supported through by special assistance, so I'm not sure why we weren't supported through there. However, after getting through the checks, we turned around a corner and a young man said my name. I responded yes. He asked us to follow him and took us down to a bus which transported us to the plane. Unfortunately, we were the last ones on the plane, which didn't help my youngest to settle very well. However, it was great because it gave me time whilst waiting to board the plane to point out the captain to my youngest, who, when captain turned around, waved at my son and we waved back. It was a special moment for him. He was so happy that captain waved at him. The flight was smooth and uneventful, and upon arriving back in Luton at midnight, we waited again until all passengers had disembarked before we were instructed to come off the plane and onto the ambilift, a little room with chairs on a hydraulic lift which helps passengers get off the plane without needing to use the stairs, which at night is very difficult for myself and my youngest with our night blindness. This was the part of the special assistance that we had missed on the flight out, due to us going to the wrong place. We were met by a lovely young lad who escorted us to border control, where a cheerful-looking man checked our tickets and passport. He individually checked each one thoroughly and looked at us intently. He had noticed that all 3 of us have different surnames. As I've mentioned previously, I was taken into care at the age of 4, and I never grew up with a dad. It was important to me that the boys had their dad's surnames despite us not having been married. This was the conversation that followed. Border Force Officer, BFO, youngest son, YS, me. Border Force Officer to youngest son, "Who's this?" points to me. Youngest son looks at me, "Mummy." Border Force Officer, "What's her name?" Youngest son, "Mummy." Me, "What's my other name?" Youngest son, "Rose." Border Force Officer looks again at the passport. Border Force Officer to me, "Have you got their birth certificates?" Me, "No, funny enough, I don't carry them on holiday." Border Force Officer, "You can take a picture of them and show that. You need a copy of them with you." Me, "Okay, I do have letters with permission from the fathers." Border Force officer acknowledges it while staring at youngest son. Me, I tell you what, if you're not sure, you take them. I'll go home and then social services can return them tomorrow when you realise they're mine. Border Force officer looks at me, then studies my eldest son's face and passport. Me, honestly, I don't mind. They'll find it a fun adventure for the end of the holiday. I've had them for a week. They could do with a night's sleep. Border Force officer, it's okay. You can go. But take a picture of the birth certificates. Me, okay. Now, I want to clarify something from the beginning. My boys are loved, nurtured and appreciated by me. I was only joking with the officer. And had he tried to take my boys, I'd have been going with them and doing whatever was needed to prove they were my children. That was just a light-hearted joke at what was now 12:30 a.m. after a day in Tenerife. I don't even use babysitters, so if you think I'll be allowing my kids out of my sight with border control and social services, you'd be out of your mind. Now, when I think about the previous conversation, I understand it. Thousands of children abducted by parents or child trafficked to foreign countries, and I agree they should be thoroughly checked. I can easily prove that I am their mother. However, not one person checked us on the way out of the country. Ironically, they only appeared to be vigilant upon our return to the UK. I would have thought that thorough checks should be done both in and out. Back to the special assistants who were patiently waiting during this exchange. The young man took us through customs, who clearly had no concerns of us smuggling goods, and took us up to wait for our bags. After we collected our bags, he took us outside to a waiting minibus, which drove us to the car park where our taxi was waiting for us. I had some concerns, and in honesty, fear of flying back in the night with the boys, but with special assistance support, I felt safe and calm. I cannot fault one moment of my experience with Luton Airport special assistance, and I would urge people with medical conditions that may impede your ability around the airport to use this free service. Well done to Luton Airport and the whole team working in the special assistance department. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching my video. Please do like and subscribe to see more content from me and to help my videos reach a wider audience and help raise awareness. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video.